Straight ahead on Valley News Live at 10, a woman still hurt and without a car after a hit and run. We'll tell you what you should do if you're put in a similar situation.
Plus, shocking new details on what led to a Minnesota football team having their entire season canceled.
And something new for our region. Concert goers required to show more than a ticket to get in tonight. We'll have details. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for joining us for Valley News Live at 10. I'm Stacey Van Dyke.
And I'm Justin Betty. The worst of the snow is now over, but we're in for a cold morning ahead. Let's head over to Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson with your first look at the forecast. Hutch.
Thanks, Justin. Good evening, everyone. I got to tell you, it is going to get cold. In fact, it's cold out there right now. We enjoyed that warm up. Take a look at what today looked like a little bit earlier. We had the snow. Not as much wind as expected came with this system. That's a good thing. But down at the Dakota Magic Casino, things were white well into the afternoon hours. And speaking of that, now we're enjoying quieter conditions heading into the night. The wind is light and the skies have cleared off. Now with clear skies, fresh snow on the ground, perfect conditions for things to get pretty cold fairly quickly as that snow is pushed even out of southern Minnesota now, still focusing on that Des Moines area. Highway 35, Interstate 35 between Minneapolis and Des Moines will be a mess with over a foot in portions of central Iowa. And speaking of our area, as we take you in a little bit closer, we see the dark blues up near Minot. We had 6 to 12 inch reports as a rule, 3 to 7 for a wide swath from Fargo into the James River Valley and the Sisseton Hills. Now, as we take a look at the wind chill advisory, that has been canceled, but it's going to be wind chilly overnight. We just won't have very much in the way of wind in the forecast. So temperatures will drop down below zero. We'll kiss 10 below tonight in Fargo-Moorhead. Some of you with even more snow will likely get to that 10 to 15 below category before things right the ship. As we talk about wind tonight, 5 to 10 miles per hour will create wind chills, 10 to 25. Below zero. I'll have your hour-by-hour forecast for the weekend ahead. There are flakes involved. I'll have details in a moment.
All right. Thanks, Hutch.
And make sure you have the Valley News Live Storm Team weather app so you can keep up with the weather anywhere, anytime. Get the latest forecasts and conditions. Just plan your day. Search VNL Weather in the App Store. You can download it for free.
Now to a story called into our whistleblower hotline. It's been 9 days since Savannah Shook was involved in a hit and run, and the driver that caused it still hasn't been found.
Valley News Team's Aaron Walling tells us what you can do if you are put in a similar situation.
On January 5th, Savannah Shook was involved in a hit and run near the intersection of 15th Avenue and 42nd Street South. Not only did it leave her with a severely damaged truck, it also left her with a nasty concussion.
All of a sudden a Jeep comes flying through a red light.
Shook says that this is the Jeep that hit her on the 5th, then left the scene. And according to the Fargo Police Department, they haven't found the driver. For Shook, now without a vehicle, she just wants to know why.
Like, why would you run? I mean, kind of making it hurt you more than anything. Especially like not checking up on the person that whole vehicle is just basically destroyed. Just not checking up on them is kind of like, why would you do that?
Here are some tips if you're involved in a hit and run. Try to gather info on the vehicle. Call the police. Safely take photos of the damage and describe any damage on the vehicle that fled.
Very scary for me. First accident, never dealt with it before. This is my truck. The first vehicle, literally I put a lot of time and money into it. So all that impact just really affected me.
Savannah and her family now hope they can find whoever did this. In Fargo, Aaron Walling, Valley News Live.
And anyone with information on the crime is asked to call Fargo Police at the number on your screen right now. And if you need any help uncovering fraud and corruption in the community, call our whistleblower hotline at this number here, 701-369-3187.
New developments tonight in a story we've been following for you for months. Back in September, we told you a Minnesota school district canceled the entire high school football season for the team in Proctor near Duluth. Today, after 4 months, the county attorney's office charged a 17-year-old player with sexual misconduct. According to court documents, the teenager, with the help of others, held a younger player down and penetrated him with the handle of a plunger. The county attorney's office says no other charges will be filed.
New tonight, the man who fled to Mexico after failing to appear in court on sexual assault charges more than 2 decades ago will still be allowed to post bond. Investigators say back in the year 2000, Curtis Bravode flew to Moorhead to have sex with a 14-year-old girl who he met online. The now 67-year-old was arrested in Cancun, Mexico on Wednesday. Today, a judge set his bond at $250,000 with conditions, $400,000 without. His next court appearance is scheduled for February 17th. A Grand Forks man is facing federal charges after investigators say he took 2 children from Minneapolis to Grand Forks with the intent of sexually abusing them. Investigators say 34-year-old Nicholas Morgan DeRosier also had more than 6,000 files of child porn on him. If convicted, he can face up to life in prison.
COVID is spreading inside the Cass County Jail. Detective Joe Gress says nurses are working to test inmates, so the number of total cases in the jail is unknown. But the jail is under lockdown, and they've modified their intake of new inmates to try to stop the spread. Gress says they'll still accept inmates who pose a safety threat. Meanwhile, Grand Forks Public Health is asking people to stop getting tested for COVID so often, saying overwhelming demand means they may start closing their COVID testing site early. The testing site at UND's Junior Athletic Center will still have free testing Monday through Friday starting at 7 in the morning, but if they run out of capacity for PCR tests, they'll only offer rapid testing, and they say they'll have to close early. They're also limiting the kind of test you can get at that testing site to either PCR or rapid, not both, adding in order to use testing resources responsibly, you're asked not to test on a daily basis.
People at the Sanctuary Events Center in Fargo were asked to bring more than just their dancing shoes to a concert tonight. Valley
News Team's Alex Larson joins us with the scoop. Alex?
Stacey, Justin, a Canadian band, the Dead South, is performing there tonight. To get in, attendees had to bring their COVID vaccination cards or proof of a negative test. You could bring a physical copy or a picture of either your vaccine card or your test results. But at-home tests were not accepted. This was all at the request of the band. I didn't see anyone turned away for not following the request. I asked concert goers what they thought about it. No one would talk on camera, but the consensus is they were not happy. But it didn't stop them from coming out to the folk band's show anyways. However, there were a few who thought this is necessary to keep concerts going. We weren't able to get a comment from the Sanctuary on if the rule will become the standard for shows. I spoke to a band member outside who said the request is normal back home. Stacey, Justin, back to you.
All right, thanks, Alex. And for those going to the band's second performance tomorrow, here's your reminder: bring proof of a negative test or your vaccination card. Now, starting tomorrow, people with private health insurance will be reimbursed for at-home COVID tests, but many insurance companies say they're not ready. The rules just announced Monday say insurance companies are to offer the free test through a network of preferred retailers. But insurance companies say they haven't had enough time to establish these partnerships, and they don't have a plan in place for reimbursement either. Their only advice right now is to keep your receipt. Consumer advocates worry the process will actually discourage people from getting tested.
A Moorhead family was laid to rest today after all 7 were found dead in their home from carbon monoxide poisoning just days before Christmas. Valley News Team's Bailey Hurley was at the Pinto Hernandez family funeral today as the community joined together to remember them.
Para los familiares.
It is tough for everyone here to be in this moment, but it is a reality that we have to face someday.
No sabemos cuándo.
We don't know when, we don't know how, but it's the reality.
A somber heaviness was felt by many this morning as 5 caskets were carefully rolled into Good Shepherd Lutheran Church in Moorhead. Both 37-year-old Bailene Hernandez and his brother, 32-year-old Elder, were not present in the lineup as the two are being transported back to their home country of Honduras to be peacefully laid to rest.
It's really difficult to be in front of you because for the 3 years of knowing this family, I have beautiful memories of the kids, of the family.
Dozens packed the church, including Moorhead Police Chief Shannon Monroe and students from Moorhead Public Schools who were classmates of the young children.
We will miss our sister Marlene, her friendship, her energy, her fellowship.
Unfortunately, officials say none of the family's Honduran relatives were able to make it today to say their final goodbyes. But many tell me it's okay because they know the Hernandez Pinto family is watching over everyone from up above. Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Moorhead police say there were only really 2 items in the family's garage that could have led to this lethal dose of carbon monoxide, either the family's vehicle or the furnace. Police are still investigating what they say the results of the blood tests could take up to 8 weeks to receive.
Later, right here on Valley News Live at 10, the community divided over a proposed gender inclusion policy. We'll tell you what the campus says they're doing to protect students.
Well, clear skies as we closed out a snowy day here in Fargo, where we saw about 3 inches of snow. There was much more out to the west. Well, we've got a forecast that you're going to want to pay attention to. What's that? Oh yeah, pay attention. When the storm team talks, well, even the kiddies listen. We'll have your forecast details right after this.